This is the Fantasy Roadshow.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Fantasy Roadshow with your boys here. You can call me Truck, and I'm joined as always by these two beautiful bastards. We got Shane O'Mac and we got Cole Sports. And today we are talking Week 8, start, sit, red light, green light, players we like, players we don't like. We're going to get into all that, but before we do, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on socials, and make sure you check out the Substack, thefantasyroadshow.substack.com. Boys, it is by apocalypse. This is a great week for us to be back on the pod. We have the Cardinals on bye, the Lions on bye, the Jags, the Raiders, the Rams, the Seahawks. People are in need of some advice, and we are here to do that. So, Coles, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. I kind of lost focus when you called us beautiful son of a bitches because I looked over at Shane, and he's always been a great looking older man, but he's got this tan right now that he's carrying.
He's got this glow to him.
This tan, this glow that just you're right. Beautiful son of a bitch.
I said beautiful bastards, but same difference.
Bastards.
Yeah, bastards. Beautiful bastards. Shane, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. We talked a little bit before, but like I am a little bit sad like that we're already to week 8. Like it's flying by way too fast. I hate that about fantasy football. It's like going to be over quickly.
Yeah, we got 5 weeks left?
5 weeks until playoffs. So yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. It flies by. You know, you wait all year round, or you wait the entire offseason for some football, and then it's like before you know it, you're like, oh shit, week 8. Oh god.
I disagree. I've never had so much fun. I love Sundays.
They're the best.
And I always have, but like something to do with like NIL and the current state of college football. I'm not as like I'm not watching football 12 hours a day on Saturdays anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think the product's as good. And then the product in the NFL has gotten so good that
yeah, I was just talking to somebody about it. The NFC has really stepped it up this year. I feel like the NFC in the playoffs this year is going to be an absolute gauntlet with all the great teams that are seem to be stepping up their game. And the AFC with the downfall of the Ravens and the Bengals because of injuries, the AFC just doesn't look as strong anymore. So there's
still
a lot of,
though, like I'll take the Bills and I'll take the Chiefs over any other team in the league.
Of course, you're absolutely right. But as I was listing off of all the like NFC teams, you got, let alone the NFC North, but you got the Buccaneers, you got the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Seattle Seahawks, the Rams, the 49ers, like all of these teams that could easily make a push in the playoffs. And with the AFC, it's just I feel like I'm not listing as many teams when I was going through it, but neither here nor there. We are here to talk red light, green light, start, sits. And before we do that, did you guys have any things that you saw through the news cycle that you wanted to talk about?
I want to talk also about one other thing I wanted to bring up, that not only am I having so much fun with NFL, but I don't know how this has happened, but I love redraft again.
Oh my god!
Oh, you're really?
This is
a turn.
I want to get back into every single redraft league, and I think some of that has to do with like I am destroying fantasy football this year. Like the strategy that I had at the beginning of the year, I can't imagine many better strategies that are working out, because like hyper targeting Ibuka, hyper targeting Pittman. I got Rashee Rice in every single league, and like I was just hoping to like be 50. I was just hoping to be like at 500 when I get Rashee Rice back. Like then I can make a push, you know. But like we were in a league together, we have Rashee Rice, and we were 5-1. Like it's just been working out so well that I think moving forward, I'm just gonna take the strategy of getting as many redraft leagues as possible as well,
and just dominating, going on a generational run.
Well, like it's just one of those things where you either got to be in like one or two. You can't be stuck in the middle. Like, so if I'm in 15,
You can't have 3 or
leagues,
4. You need to have like 15 or 20.
for me, yeah, because like the reason when I'm stuck in the middle and I have 5 teams, maybe 3 of them are excellent, 2 of them still making the playoffs, and then I get screwed in a couple because that's how fantasy football goes. It's just luck of the draw during playoffs.
Yeah.
I'd rather have 15 teams in there, know I'm going to make some money and win some leagues than just be stuck in the middle and like you get super frustrated because you're 13 and whatever, and then you get clipped by Judkins going off for 50.
Can you imagine, Coles, if we actually dove back into best ball with the way that our redraft leagues are? Because I know myself, I'm in like first or second in every league I'm in, and I know you are as well. Our best ball teams would be reflecting that as well.
Yeah, but also like we would have an extremely high advance rate, and then like there needs what I learned about best ball is like these guys that do it where they spread out their teams, like that is the way to do it. You have to almost have some anchors. Like Pittman would have been someone that was just, we both thought was going way too late. Like you have like some anchors in certain rounds, and then there has to be, we did 40% of Jamar Chase and Saquon, which was outstanding for the majority of last year until they got to the playoffs and laid eggs. And it was like, damn, now I wish I had some CD and some jet, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think eventually I'd like to get back into best ball, but it's like that requires a much bigger time investment in like creating that strategy and what your target percentages are, because you're competing with quants essentially.
Yeah. We were drafting for hours a day, every day,
which is fine. But in order to compete with quants, you do have to put a little bit of a quant hat on. So I don't know. What I'm trying to say is my fantasy football portfolio is going to look differently next year, but I thought you guys would think it's interesting that I'm like all in.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Yeah. So that's great to hear, Calls. We're glad that you're back in the redraft pocket. So that's good to hear. But all right, let's jump into it before we get carried away with the conversation. Let's start with green light quarterbacks, and I'll start. Someone that kind of had a surprising game last week, Bo Nix taking on the Dallas Cowboys this week. Look, last week it was kind of abysmal up until the fourth quarter, and then they somehow scored 33 points in one of the craziest comebacks in NFL history. And look, this Dallas Cowboys defense, well, let's start with the Cowboys offense. Cowboys offense loves to score points. They score a lot of points. They scored 44 last week, Shane? Is that right?
Yep.
And so if they're scoring points, you're going to need to score a lot of points in order to beat them. Cowboys defense is giving up the most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks, the most passing yards, and they're also giving up the most rushing yards to quarterbacks. And we all know Bo Nix loves to get frisky with his feet. He's got 20-plus rushing yards in 5 games. Only Josh Allen and Justin Fields have more than that. So, Bo Nix gets it done in the air. He gets it done on the feet. He's resilient. And I think this is going to be a really good game between the Denver Broncos and Dallas Cowboys. And I think I'm still leaning the Cowboys win the game, but I think Bo Nix keeps it close, and it'll be a strong start for him.
5 quarterbacks gone over 25 points against Dallas this year.
Yeah. There you go. So that's my start of the week for quarterbacks.
Yeah. So Bo Nix is tough for me because, like, God, I hate watching the Broncos offense. Like, it's painful to watch. Sean Payton's like offensive guru, quarterback whisperer. But like Bo Nix has not looked good this year. The offense is so frustrating because like it can look like it did in the fourth quarter, or you can just be like screaming at the TV saying like, why are we throwing end around swing passes to Troy Franklin? Like it can just be so frustrating at times. But like you said, start anyone against Dallas's defense. The offense is going to run up the scoreboard. That's going to be a fun game to watch, just to see like,
I agree.
are they able to build momentum on that fourth quarter and that big win against the Giants? They need to. Surtain against CD is like a great battle that's going to be happening. I don't know. I there's a chance I end up going to that game. We'll see.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
like I can stand up and look at Mile High right now.
That's
That'd be
awesome.
a good one.
Shane, what do you got this week for quarterbacks?
I'm gonna dig a little deeper because there's gonna be some people out there that are,
God, I
buys
fucking
are
love
just
when you-
are hurting and they gotta dig down, hit the waiver wire, and this one is near and dear to my heart. Joe Flacco, old men represent. I just think like this is a guy like I'm going to start him over Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers this week if you have those options. Like I think that defense is so bad. You're going to see 40 plus pass attempts. I think mostly every week. The Jets are not as good of defense this week coming in. I think they're going to be down Sauce Gardner and another starting quarterback. Even with them, they had given up the 8th most fantasy points over the last 4 weeks to quarterbacks. I just think every week until he gets hurt or something, Flacco's going to toss the ball 45 times a week, and he's gonna stumble into like 20 plus fantasy weeks most of the time.
Yeah, and that's why they traded for him, right? I mean, footsteps Flacco coming in clutch, and I love that play. I do. I like it.
Nothing gets me more rock hard than hearing Shane O'Mac say, "I'm gonna dig deep for this one."
I gotta dig deep.
Yeah,
dig deep.
there's just I get
Digging
fired
deep and
up.
filling holes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get fired up when I hear that. Also, there's like older guys that have been in the league, they're veterans, and then there's people like Shane and Joe Flacco who are just old as dirt. And no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Shane. You're a young whippersnapper still out there playing tennis. But yeah, Flacco's like almost like a poor man's Justin Herbert. That's like the Chargers were awful last game, but he like had 420 yards and 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like he's just even games when the team lays an egg, he's going to get garbage time points, and like the defense is going to ease up on you a little bit, and he's just going to be able to sling it to the 2 of the best receivers in the league and like run up and get points. So like Truck mentioned, that's why you get Flacco, is because you can count on him to not have those horrible turnovers that Browning had as much, but he's going to be able to get these guys the ball. And I think even said that. He came out and he was like, Jamar Chase is the best football player I've ever played with. So I just ask him, like, where are you going to be and where do you want me to put it?
Yeah, I heard him talk. He was talking about going into that game against the Steelers, and he's like, look, I just knew that if I sat back enough, their defense would just give me an opening somewhere, because they didn't change up their defense the entire game. It's who the Ravens are. So it's like he just knew it going into it. You don't really need to. That's great. That's great for a veteran quarterback to come in and be able to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think like who is he going to be playing? I saw Tyrod's now day-to-day with a knee. So like who is the Jets? Who are they starting at quarterback?
I'm guessing it's probably Tyrod, but
Tyrod still plays.
Yeah, that's my guess. I don't know. What do you think, Shane?
Probably, but if not, I mean, they'll go back to Justin Fields. And
Yeah.
Did you see how many passing yards he has in the last 2
Oh, it's bad.
91
You said
yards.
you mean what do you mean, Chan?
It's awful. I mean, it's like I've got Mason Taylor in a lot of leagues, and like I'm just teetering on like if they make the announcement of Fields, I'm cutting him and moving to somebody else. So
Yeah, you have to. And that Mason Taylor was such a fun pickup off the waiver wire. I was like, dude, this guy's gonna be great. I bet my money on him in the last couple of weeks, and that didn't go well. So, anyway, Coles, who do you got for?
If he starts, I mean, I saw that he was potentially not going to start anymore. But then I also saw Schefter tweeted that he practiced today. So Lamar Jackson, if he's in, I think he's going to shred the Bears defense. you can talk about the turnovers, but they're horrible against the run. And you have one of the best running games with Henry and Lamar. And then they've also given up 2.5 passing touchdowns per game. So I know there's a lot of people in Chicago that are excited about the defense because of what they've done to Rattler and Geno Smith. But when you have a running game or a rush defense that can't stop the run and you're giving up 2.5 passing touchdowns per game, that seems pretty concerning to me. So I think, the Ravens are a team who haven't fixed their defense, and we're already at week 8. I think this could be another one, like you mentioned, with the Cowboys. Like, Ravens are going to score a shit ton and they're going to give up a shit ton. So this could be a massive shootout. We've seen them do it against the Bills. I think it could be that sort of a game that ends up being in the 30s, and you want everyone in fantasy in that game.
Yeah. So you're not going to green light Caleb Williams then? You're going to green light Lamar Jackson instead?
Sure. I'll green light Caleb. I have no issues.
I just, based on the conversation we had last night, you said you were coming in hot with the green light Caleb take.
Yeah, but that was more like sign up for our Patreon and our X-rated take file. But I do like Caleb, so yeah.
Yeah, I think Caleb should be mentioned. I mean, he's been playing good lately. Better, I should say.
Not last game.
So. No, I know, but I'm saying he's been making progress.
But that's why the Bears are a good football team, because they're winning games where they're not looking good. So that's coaching, and that's very optimistic as a Bears fan. Now, like, Caleb needs to grow and get better, which he will in a complex offense. And he will have flashes of greatness. And I'm a huge Caleb guy. I hope it's this week and he, goes in there and shreds up the Ravens' soft defense. But
I did hear that Baltimore's getting Roquan Smith back and some guys in the secondary back this week.
Yeah, that helps. The issue is that I don't think it's just injuries for them. I think it's a little bit more than that right now, and they haven't fixed any of it, Yeah. But at 1-5, a sense of urgency comes in, and they're getting their star player back, and they have a really soft schedule. So pull up their schedule and tell me that they can't win 80% of the rest of their games and make a playoff push. That's what's required, and they know that, and they're not trying to waste Lamar's prime. So,
yeah. All right, let's move over to red light quarterbacks this week. My chair is moving backwards. Just my car reset. Anyway, red light quarterbacks for week 8. I'll start off. My red light quarterback this week is Jordan Love. Surprise, surprise, a Bears fan is red lighting a Packers quarterback, but Love just hasn't been great this season. Only scored over 20 points twice, scored under 16 those other 4 games. And the Steelers, they're a decent matchup for quarterbacks, but Love has shown that even that doesn't really translate to fantasy success for him, even with a good matchup. So I don't know. I'm excited for this game on Sunday Night Football. I just wouldn't want Jordan Love in my starting lineup.
Yeah, I think that'll be a fun game. I'm interested, Shane, what you think about Dak going against that Broncos defense. Like, obviously he's been able to just sling it. Giants just put up 30 on them. What was his finish? Jackson Dart. Wasn't he like quarterback 2 last week?
Yeah, he was top 5. Yeah,
top 5 quarterback last week against
the
Broncos D.
Yeah, but like when you're a defense that they are that good, they really are. Like, obviously they were exposed last week, but you would like to think that they would bounce back at home and kind of come out with a vengeance. That being said, like, the Cowboys are awesome. Dak's playing outstanding. So it's one of those things that's like, what's going to give? And I don't want to just gloss over your Jordan Love pick, but what I was getting at is someone like Dak is going to be higher up on the rankings. Someone like Drake May, who has played really good this season. He's playing a really good defense, but that defense hasn't necessarily traveled yet. But those are two guys that are going to be in your top 10 of any ranking you look at. I could see a situation where one of, if not both of them, struggle. So going back to your green light, like, would you consider starting Flacco over a Dak or a Drake May, or are they just auto starts at this point?
Not Dak. I think the thing with Dak is you've got Surtain, but now he's got Pickens on the other side, and we've seen like people like T. Higgins just go off against Riley Moss, the other cornerback. There could be no match. And Jake Ferguson, they're going to have a tough time matching up with Jake Ferguson. So I think this is a high scoring game. So
what about I just completely blanked. Javonte Williams revenge game.
Oh yeah. Oh, I did forget it's a Javonte revenge game.
Oh,
I feel like there's I don't want to say it like people overdo the revenge game thing. They just do because they love the storyline.
Yeah, we talked about that last episode. We did a whole segment on it. Oh
yeah, like that's like I think that's overplayed, and like you can find those edges, but typically you have to understand like you have to have a high level of EQ and understand like the motivation of a player. Mm-hmm. Javonte Williams is the type of person that like did not look good last year. That's why they moved on. Looks great this year 2 off the injury. Like what makes him good and what makes him great this season is like he's got that. I guess people call it they got that dog in him. Like he does. Like the way that he runs and those the way that he'll break tackles and then spin out, like that extra level of effort that some running backs have that make them that good. He kind of has that driver and motivator. So I would say like this to me is a kind of a revenge game that I would be happy planting a flag on.
Yeah. I think it is a big game. But Shane, what do you got for red light quarterbacks?
I'm going to go a little bit, probably a lot against consensus on this pick. And I love the player and what he's done in fantasy this year. But I would be hesitant trying to start Daniel Jones this week. And it has nothing to do with Daniel Jones. It's about the matchup. Like, I just don't feel like they're going to have to throw very much against that Tennessee defense. I mean, this is a defense that's allowing 150 yards rushing, third most, I think, fantasy points to running backs. Like, this is going to be probably a 3-touchdown game for Taylor. And I think maybe we get 1 touchdown from Jones and maybe like 220 in the air.
Maybe a couple defensive touchdowns.
Could be, something like that. I just think it's not a great setup for a pass-heavy day for him.
Yeah. I can understand that. I mean, I could see the Colts being up 28-0 at half. It's that game's going to get ugly quick, so I can understand that play. That scares me.
Like you said, they have been keeping him in on blowouts. Like he'll play deep into the fourth, but they just won't be like passing the ball really. Right. We've seen that game script already play out. So that's I think that's a very interesting one because on paper you're like salivating over a team that's going to put up 30 every week against a team like Tennessee who's just dead. I like it.
Yeah, I have a league with Daniel Jones and Drake May. I originally, when I started the week, I was just looking at the lineup, setting it and going to look at it later on. And I plugged Daniel Jones in and put Drake May on the bench. But now I'm going to reconsider that and might have to plug Drake May in there.
At Tennessee, they've already played, right? So he was QB 11, 228 yards and a touchdown, 27 rushing yards. I'd say that's probably that I wouldn't say that's a red light game, but like, that's outside of the top 10. I don't know what they ended up winning that game by, but that's probably what his ceiling in that game script. Shane?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. I think probably in your scenario, like I feel like even though I think there's a little more upside, I think with Drake May probably, but
yeah. Coles, what do you got for red light quarterbacks?
I'm not going to really mention anyone specific. I don't think. Like I think CJ Stroud is someone that like. are you starting? Like, are you still starting him every week? Have you moved?
You might need to with the 6 teams on a bye.
But maybe no
week,
Nico Collins this week.
That's
with
a good
concussion.
point.
So
yeah. No, you could have Nico Collins. You could have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Like, their offensive line.
No, it's so
it is not good, man. And it doesn't look like it's getting any better. Stroud looks frustrated and lost. He has no time to kind of really drop back. He's dropping back and he's immediately trying to find his way through the first layer of defense.
They win this week at home against the 49ers?
Does what?
Do you think they win this week at home against the 49ers?
I don't know. I think it's going to be Mac Jones again. Like, probably not, but Houston's defense is really good. Like, they should have gotten killed by the Seahawks, but their defense gave them multiple opportunities to swing it. So I don't know. I'm not ready to call that game yet, but that offensive line's a serious problem. There's, you can poke holes in the Niners. They looked really good this week, but no Fred Warner is a huge deal. He's the quarterback of that defense and kind of the heartbeat. So, like, can you see, will there be weeks that you kind of see some of that? I think so. Yeah. I think the offensive coordinator for the Texans is bad too. He was just running the ball on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 when it clearly wasn't working all game. Like, I'm red lighting Stroud probably the rest of the season.
That's fair.
So
that's fair. So, all right, let's move over to running backs. Shane, why don't you go ahead and start us off for green light running backs? Who's your green light this week?
Well, I've got to start off.
Shane O'Mac, shocker of the week.
What you got?
I'm going with Tyler Algier this week, and I'm starting him over a bunch. I just think this setup is going to be ideal for him. I mean, he's got at home, which is a great thing for every Falcons player. They all play much better at home. To the opponent, the Dolphins, I mean, they are allowing the most rushing yards to running backs, bottom 5 in fantasy points allowed. And then I think just this positive game script for the team. So when you look at like all 3 of the Falcons, like all the Falcons wins, where they've had this positive game script, Algiers had double-digit carries, I think in all but one of those. And this just seems like a setup where he's going to hit probably, I would say, 12 to 14 rush attempts. And that's going to probably be good enough to get him, 80 yards, and I would bet a score. So then you're into the teens and fantasy points. So I think he's a smash play. If you've got guys like Hubbard or Pollard or even like RJ Harvey, like I'm going to queue up Tyler Algier this week.
He can score any week, any given week too. I mean, like they'll throw him in there at the red zone, as frustrating as it is as a Bijan owner, but it's I can understand where you're coming from that. It's positive game script at home. We could see a lot of Algier this week, so that's I don't hate it. Coles, what do you got?
Another pick that just turns me on about Shane O'Mac. That's just digging deep, baby. I love it.
Yeah, shocker of the week for sure.
Yeah. Rico Dowdle, I think, is probably where I'll go. Like, people are hesitant because you got Chuba back, and it was pretty split last week. I think Dowdle still had like 17 carries, though. I mean, I do think he's looks better and is running the ball better. And he's going against a team in the Bills who, you're coming off a bye, you're rested, but that defense hasn't really shown that they can stop the run. Andy Dalton's a good veteran quarterback. So, like, between the dynamic of, I think you're going to see a shift in maybe a 60-40 split. And if it's a hot hand type game, like if Dowdle starts breaking runs and looking good, I think they probably that could look like a 70-30 pretty quickly. And if that's the case against that run defense, I'll take Dowdle. Josh Allen's going to score. He's going to score fast, most likely. So they should have the ball, and I like Dowdle. I think Panthers are like sneaky decent. Obviously losing Bryce hurts, but their offense can move the ball, or at least show a little bit of competency this year. And the Bills can just be in one of those games where it's like, okay, Andy Dalton tried to outscore us. And if that's the case, give me the 70-30 split of Dowdle in a game that they'll be able to move the ball a little bit.
God, I've got so much Dowdle in so many leagues, and it was so frustrating last week. I wasn't expecting that split to be as close. And he looks, it was like 3 yards per carry difference between the two.
Yeah.
Night and day.
Yeah.
Out of respect for Chuba, though, you have to give him at least that opportunity.
Yeah,
now,
but
can you move away from it pretty quickly? Yes. So hopefully that's what we see. But Chuba stepped in and was outstanding. I own a shit ton of Dowdle, and I'm going to start him confidently. I wanted to bring him up because of that. If you're a Dowdle owner, you're in a situation where you're probably a little confused. What's the role look like?
Yeah.
Well, this is a game script that just watch the role play out, but I would start him this week, and you can do so pretty confidently. And then we'll have a clearer picture after this week what it's going to look like. But
yeah,
as Shane mentioned, that split in the 3 yards per carry difference, at some point, if you're Canales, who's an offensive minded coach, you're going to lean on that, and I think we see a separator this week. Hopefully.
Yeah, he's just been so efficient, with the workload that he's going to get this week. I think it's a good play as well. So, all right, my green light running back this week is none other than DeAndre Swift, Bears running back. The Bears have kind of unlocked something in this run game. They've been running since the beginning of the season. They have the 8th highest run percentage at 41%, but since the week 5 bye, they're at a 50% run rate, which is the 3rd highest in that span. There's only one person that has more explosive runs than DeAndre Swift, and that's Jonathan Taylor. And Ben Johnson is scheming up these outside zone runs at the 3rd highest rate in the NFL, and they're working. We saw it work the last 2 games. Swift is 6 yards per carry nearly. I'm looking at this matchup as just a smash play for DeAndre Swift. They're giving up the 2nd most fantasy points per game to running backs. The Ravens are, and even with Roquan Smith back, I think DeAndre Swift is a massive play this week.
That's just one example of something so easy that Ben Johnson has done compared to last year is putting Swift on the right type of runs he should be in. Getting him out of space.
Yeah,
he's not a slam it up the middle guy. I'm which they tried to force him to do last year.
Yeah, no, that's very, very, very valid point. Yeah.
Yeah, leave the slamming it up the middle to Shane.
So
a couple other guys I want to mention. One, Brashard Smith. I think Brashard Smith is going to continue to, nobody's better than Andy Reid at finding his weapons and then getting the most out of them, and nobody's better at facilitating that than Patrick Mahomes. And that's a dynamic to the offense they haven't had since Jerick McKinnon. You get Rashee Rice back, seen what he can do. He's just outstanding at keeping the chains moving, getting him the ball and letting him do his thing. And that's making the offense have that championship flow that we've seen. They're going to continue to evolve Brashard Smith because, Mahomes understands he's so fucking good, and he understands when we got something here, and you can kind of start to see them have that swagger. The defense is going to continue to step up as we go on with this year, but Mahomes will be figuring out his weapons, and this is the time of the season where he does that, right? He's going to see if he can turn Brashard Smith into a Jerick McKinnon 2.0. And I don't know if you guys remember what the fantasy landscape was when McKinnon joined the Chiefs, but he showed a little flashes, and he came to the Chiefs and didn't really set the league on fire right away. But then when he got going, like in the red zone, he was the dump off option that led to touchdowns. He was, getting these 5-catch games that in a PPR format, you can confidently start with a high floor. So I think Brashard Smith is someone that you guys know redraft better than me. I really don't, in terms of like, is he on the waiver wire or is he rostered?
He's on the
He's
waiver wire,
definitely-
but you need to pick him up. He's on a lot of waiver wires. Kareem Hunt might not play. And then this is another game with Marcus Mariota playing that they could be up and lean
That's what I
on him in
mean.
the second half.
That's what they did in this past game, didn't
Yep.
they? Like
Yep.
they're like, all right, we got a little bit of a cushion. Let's lean on this weapon and develop them.
Mhm.
You're going to see that in this game. And I think like just at home against the Redskins, the defense that we can kind of try some things out on. And I think you need to go grab him before he breaks out. Another like very, very like another stash that I wanted to bring up. Isaiah Davis, he's on a dog shit team, but like if Breece Hall gets traded, there's nobody else there but Isaiah Davis. And you're sometimes just on shitty teams, it's not sexy, but like if he gets 20 touches a game, then he's getting 20 touches a game.
The volume has always been king in fantasy football,
Mhm.
Yeah,
So-
and he's dynamic enough that he'll catch balls out of the backfield. Like I wouldn't, I'm go and get Brashard Smith over Isaiah Davis because you're gonna be, you're on a much better offense. But Isaiah Davis, if you have a roster spot, he's someone that I'm looking at. Like instead of instead of having Daniel Jones take up a bench spot when I have Josh Allen, let's go get a Brashard Smith or even an Isaiah Davis because November 4th is right around the corner.
Yeah. I like that call as well. Brashard Smith is going to be I think his role is just going to keep expanding in this offense. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, it's going
I
to be
like
a
it.
great role.
are we good on green light running backs?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Moving over to red light running backs. My red light pick of the week is sadly Chase Brown. Look, Chase Brown had his best game of the season last week against that Steelers game in prime time. Ran for 108 yards, but he only scored 12 fantasy points. Kind of a dud there when you're expecting a big output with the way he played. Look, he's yet to score a touchdown. Without Joe Burrow, this is kind of his ceiling, that 12 points. So the Jets have allowed just 8.8 per carry before contact. So they're getting to the ball carrier. And I don't think this is going to be a good game for Chase Brown. We just haven't really seen it yet. And I don't want to put him in my lineup without seeing him score a touchdown or kind of being utilized more in this offense. Though it was a nice step forward last game. I just am still not ready. I know some people might be ready to put him in there, and I am not.
Yeah, and like Samaje Perine is getting a lot more integrated than I would have ever thought.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Shane, what do you got for red light running back this week?
I'm going with a guy. He had a great game last week. People may be thinking about starting him, but I'm going to try to bench Ramondre Stevenson if possible. I don't care that he's at home. This Browns defense, they've been really good against the rush. I mean, they've only, I think, allowed like 3.4 yards per carry. They've been, fourth fewest rushing yards per game allowed. It's just going to be tough sledding. This is not the Tennessee defense that he faced last week. He could still have volume, but I think, he's not going to get anything for you in PPR leagues. I mean, he's just not the guy who's going to catch anything. I think this is like a 20 carry for 68-yard game for him this week.
Yeah, he's just been so frustrating. As like I drafted Travion Henderson in a couple leagues, and I just don't understand why Travion can't get more integrated in this offense. I don't know what it is that they love about Ramondre Stevenson so much. He fumbles a lot. I mean, he looked pretty good that last game, scores touchdowns. Like, he's a good running back, I wish it wasn't the case.
Travion.
Yeah, I just wish the whole Ramondre Stevenson thing in New England would just come to an end.
Well, it's not Travion. It's his own fucking fault. He can't pass protect. He can't get on the field because he can't pass protect. End of story. He's a guy who's leaned on his talent his entire career, has never had to pass protect. Well, now you're in the NFL, and if you don't have that skill set, then you're not going to be on the field. Like,
see, when he was coming,
protecting Drake May is a lot more important than getting Travion Henderson the ball.
And that's surprising to me though, because during the draft process, researching him, there was a lot of his positives of his game were pass protecting. There was a ton of highlights of him, run or pass blocking for Ohio State and doing a really good job at it. So I don't know why it just doesn't translate to the NFL. Yeah. These defensive players are just.
I think a lot of people in redraft leagues are going to have to start making decisions of, do they have to drop Travion Henderson for X amount of player, especially when you come up with, when you've got bye weeks and stuff, they're gonna. That is a real decision for a lot of people. I guarantee you.
And I'm ready to do it. I'll drop him. You haven't seen anything that indicates that he's going to have an increased role moving forward.
God, so. I'm so happy. I have pretty much full faded him because like I thought he was one of his value just caught fire and like skyrocketed, which like someone like Ibuka did as well. But like I was just super confident in Ibuka, and I could swallow a 7th or 8th round rookie, not a 4th round.
He was almost in the third.
Rookie.
He was almost in the third
like he was getting, to me that was way too expensive. Like I wouldn't have paid that for Judkins if he was like for sure going to play, and he was like a clear-cut RB1 on a team that's had a lot of success from running that position. Yeah. But like that rookie running backs, like you can find the ones that are an extreme value, but because of that, the market has steamed them and they're almost overvalued now. Like Travion, his price tag was crazy. But anyways, what I wanted to get to is I said to you, Shane, that earlier I said that the Browns defense has not traveled, and it hasn't. They gave up 41 to the Ravens. They gave up 34 at Detroit. They gave up 23. I mean, it was 23-9 against the Steelers. But if you look at the rushing production, Derrick Henry had 11 carries for 23 yards in a game that they scored 41 points. David Montgomery had 9 carries for 12 yards in a game that they scored 31 points. And when the Lions win 34-10, David Henry's in that second half, just like pounding the ball down their throats. And clearly like the Lions saw that was not working. So they went against it. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's kind of just insane. He went 15 for 91. Well, Ramondre Stevenson is not Jahmyr Gibbs. No. So I like that call. I had Ramondre as well as mine. I'll throw someone else in there. Alvin Kamara, like Kendre Miller's out. So you think like, does his role expand more to like old Kamara levels? I watched the Bucs pretty closely this past week against the Lions, and like they're just, I don't want any part of running against Vita Vea. That their defense, especially against a team like Rattler, where they're like, okay, we'll stop the run. Let's see if Rattler can beat us with his arm. Yeah, I just think they're gonna scheme for Kamara. Let's shut him down. But that's someone else that I had on my radar.
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand that. I thought it was hilarious. The comments he made about being traded. He's like, yeah, you can go ahead and trade me, but if you do, I'm gonna go be drinking pina coladas somewhere. I'm out of here. I'm not gonna play somewhere else. So
he's earned that. So
for sure. So all right, let's move over to wide receivers. Let's talk about some green light wide receivers we like. And you know what, Shane, you're digging deep today. You dug deep. You got Coles over here going crazy over it. I thought I should dig deep for this pick.
Go deep.
I'm going to dig deep out of my bag, and I'm pulling out a Tez Johnson.
You went deep and pulled your Johnson out.
I did.
Oh.
I went deep and pulled out a Johnson. Tez Johnson going against the Saints. We were just talking about that game. Look, given the circumstances in Tampa, Mike Evans unfortunately had the season-ending injury. Coach Bowles already came out and said Chris Godwin Jr. is out once again. And Tez Johnson is earning Baker's trust. We saw that incredible 22-yard touchdown where he hurdled the defender and then spun at the goal line. Like, he's an exciting player. He's got some massive talent, and saw 9 targets last week. He only caught 4 of them, unfortunately, but 58 yards and a touchdown. Look, he's got a good mix of short and deep targets. Like, I think he's definitely in play this week as a flex. If you're hurting for this bye week, I'd be fine trusting Tez Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah, let's be clear that he had 9 targets, caught 4 of them, but the only reason he caught 4 of them was not his fault. It was because Baker had the worst downfield passing game by far. If he would have put the ball on Tez is, wow, how many yards did you say he had?
58.
Yeah,
He'd have
would have
over
had
150.
158. I mean, there's some of those 25-yard catches that he just airmailed them, and like he was open. He ran great routes and he was open. Yeah, Tez is someone that I was targeting. I think was it week 2 that he had his first touchdown, and it was like they schemed up a play for him, but like you could see the talent. Let me see, week 1 or 2, he had a touchdown on like a couple targets. He was someone that I was like scouring the waiver wire in Dynasty for, because you could just see the big play potential. I'm not going to call him Deshaun Jackson, but like that level of like,
I can see that comparison. I can see that.
Yeah. So that would be a fun weapon for Baker, and he's just such a baller that like you put a weapon like that in front of him, and he wants those big plays so that he could,
how about
do
that
the
story?
Baker Mayfield thing and rub it in your face.
How about that MVP story? That was so funny to me.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That was so funny. That was just very wholesome and funny. But yeah, I like Tez this week. What do you got, Shane? Who's your green light?
I'm going with the caveat, as long as Lamar Jackson is playing, I'm going to queue up Zay Flowers. I think people just got this perception like, oh, he was so awful the last time we saw him before the bye week. But like 2 things, like 1, he was playing with Cooper Rush and Tyler Huntley, and he was battling a little bit of a shoulder injury, but he still like had 10 targets in that game. He caught, I think, 6 for 50 or something. I just think as long as Lamar is back in this game, this should be a higher scoring game. Bears are, I think, 6th most fantasy points allowed to receivers. I think it's just setting up. I would be trying to trade for Zay Flowers in as many leagues as you can right now, because I think what Cole's teased, as long as Lamar is healthy, they're getting ready to go on a nice little run here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like that. It obviously lines up with my Lamar pick pretty well. So I don't know what that report was about. I really hope he plays. I'd like to see the Ravens get back in the mix. I know Truck doesn't want him to play this week at least, but I think it happens.
Get out. Sit him down.
I think it happens. And did you guys see there was some post on social media that he was at a food truck past midnight last night, and he looked like he was high.
Yeah. I saw
so when I saw that, and then that he wasn't potentially not playing this week, it made me think a little bit, but I don't know. Schefter said he practiced today, so hopefully it just kind of positivity starts to roll. I don't know. Like, I like Sutton. I don't know if that's too much of like a easy pick or a homer pick. I mean, it lines up with I guess I shouldn't call it homer because I live here, but
you just moved there.
Yeah, not a homer pick, but Sutton's someone that lines up with Bo Nix pretty well. I mean,
I love it.
High scoring game. I think he's still such a good possession receiver, and we saw Pittman have it. Wait, I don't know what I'm talking about. Just completely disregard that. I was talking about Pitt last week, but they played the Chargers.
Yes.
Give me Sutton in a high scoring game. Will Bo Nix figure it out? We're gonna find out. But yeah, give me the possession receiver in a game that have a lot of points with a team that moves the ball. And another one like Troy Franklin or Mims, if you need a flex that like a boom bust type player, this is the boom. I don't know if it's going to be Troy Franklin or Mims. It seems like we don't know like who's going to go off which week, but this is going to be a week where one of them catches that, that big touchdown, a 60-yard touchdown, has 4 catches, 120 yards and a touchdown, something like that.
Yeah.
But as Shane mentioned, target the pass catchers against Dallas. And another game we talked about, I like Diggs against that Browns team. Drake May is awesome. You've seen kind of what I just talked about with Franklin and Mims at a different level. Diggs and Booty are kind of trading off big games. I think this is going to be a Diggs game. I think, I mentioned that the Browns defense doesn't travel, and that's the passing game. They have been susceptible to giving up big games in the air, and I could see Diggs benefiting from that. So give me Diggs as well.
Yeah, the Browns in 3 out of the last 4 games, they've allowed a top 12 fantasy receiver.
That's a good stat.
I think Diggs is lining up for that top 12 play this week. So I love that. He's on my list as well. Shane, did you already hit yours?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Moving on to red light wide receivers. I talked a lot about Bears players today, and I'm going to keep going with that trend. My red light wide receiver is someone who are we ready to drop him? Like, it's getting to the point where it's just so frustrating on a weekly basis.
About ready to do it. I'm about ready to drop him in a league. So.
DJ Moore.
Yeah.
So look, I mean, you can't trust him on a weekly basis. The production's just not there. Caleb's spreading the ball around. Even Rome Odunze over the last couple of weeks has really been subpar as to what he started with. We're seeing a lot more Loveland. We're seeing a lot more Luther Burden. So, Ben Johnson is really opening up the offense and spreading it around. And unfortunately, DJ Moore, I know you drafted him high, and your expectations. Well, my expectations, I knew he would take a backseat to Rome, but I didn't think that was going to cause him to be unstartable. And unfortunately, that is where we're at. So, DJ Moore's
your only hope is if he gets as a trade happens. But I think their record is so good enough now that a trade won't happen, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. I'm thinking we're going to see him get moved over in the offseason.
Wait until after the year.
Yeah, I think that's what'll happen, because they still look. DJ Moore is still very beneficial to the offense as a whole. When they're moving the sticks, he's very good at short yardage. The dump offs, the screens. It just doesn't translate well for a successful fantasy play. But DJ Moore is very much included in this offense, and it just hasn't really panned out for fantasy.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Shane, what do you got for red light wide receivers this week?
I'm going to sit Kendrick Bourne and then or Juwan Jennings. If you've got either one of those, like Cole's mentioned a little bit, this Houston defense good. They get a great pass rush from both ends. Got a great cornerback, obviously. They've given up the second fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. I think this is like another game. Until he falls apart, they're just going to lean on McCaffrey, and we're not going to see a second week where George Kittle has no catches.
Oh no, his game's coming.
Yeah, his game's coming. I think this could be when we were just talking about guys to trade for. If you can try to go and get George Kittle, get him before this week.
I agree with that statement. I like that. And yeah, this Texans defense is dangerous, man. They're really good. So I agree with that play as well. Coles, what do you got for red light wide receivers?
I know why I screwed up that take earlier by saying Sutton just did it to what I say the Pittman just did it. Yeah. So I was also contemplating greenlighting Jordan Addison. And that was because of what Pittman had just done to the Chargers defense. I think Jordan Addison's like a sneaky, awesome fantasy player. I'm not going to have his stats off the top of my head, but when he's been active, he's produced
over 100 yards in 2 out of the last 3 games.
Yeah,
There
since
you go.
week 4, 17 points a game.
Yeah, so like, he's someone that like you don't think of as I'm going to start. He's wide receiver 2 or someone that like he just because he hasn't been on the field long enough and he hasn't been able to like stay producing at that level. He's kind of an afterthought, but he's someone that I think will have a big game against the Chargers.
Yeah, I agree.
So I just wanted to revisit that. But red light, Jalen Waddle probably like is Tua the quarterback for
Unfortunately.
for the Miami
These
Dolphins.
Dolphins,
Is
dude,
that
these
team just a
Dolphins
dumpster fire? Like I
just
think everyone was very excited about
Oh
the
my
opportunity
God.
Waddle had in front of him with Tyreek out. But like that's just a dead team to me. So I don't know if that's
so beyond dead. Like
yeah. So I don't know if
just-
that's too easy of an answer and that's a cop out. But
No.
I'll add like Romeo Dobbs. Are people starting him in redraft? Luckily, I took a very wide receiver heavy approach, so I haven't had to. But I
I've
feel like
seen
he's
him.
someone.
Yeah, I've seen him on the waiver wire in a lot of leagues, but I'm sure people are picking him up if they need a spot start. But yeah, go ahead. Why would you not want to play Romeo?
I like the matchup. I think Pitt kind of that defense has shown flashes and they need to have a big bounce back game. And Jordan Love is someone that if you almost like Penix, thinking of guys that like once you get in the backfield and kind of make them uncomfortable, they're significantly worse. And Love's one of those guys. And, what makes Dobbs such a good like possession receiver is those 15 to, those 15-yard routes that he runs where he finds space. And I just don't know that with TJ Watt breathing down your neck, you're going to kind of have the time that it's going to take to get the Dobbs the ball. Probably has Joey Porter on him. Not that Joey Porter's like a lockdown corner yet, but he's good enough. He's physical. So I think it's just a bad matchup for Dobbs.
Yeah, that's fair. I can understand that. I saw Dobbs in a lot of waiver wires recently as I was scouring through the league. So makes sense. All right, let's move over to tight ends. Wrap it up. This week 8 red light, green light. Green light tight end. Look, I green light Tez Johnson. Might as well. This fucking guy is just laying on this horn, purposely doing that to me because he knew I was on the podcast. Anyway, I'm gonna green light Cade Otton. Cade Otton looked so good in that game. As I was talking to Coles through that game, and it seemed like towards the end of that game, every first down was Otton, big catch, Otton catch, Otton catch, and Baker's going to be needing to throw the ball to somebody other than Emeka Egbuka and Tez Johnson, and Cade Otton's very much in play for me if you need a spot start at tight end. He's probably on the waiver wire in most leagues, and I'd be looking to pick him up if I needed a replacement.
Yeah, I tried to get him in a lot of leagues because 3 games last year with no Godwin, no Evans, had 10 targets or more in every game and scored 16 or more fantasy points in each one of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's that was like the perfect game script for him losing Evans. He's just like he's your check down king when it comes to that game script.
Yeah.
They are having to pass, so he's going to get you catches, and most leagues are PPR. Like that's very valuable.
Yeah.
I think it's worth noting that it is also National Tight End Week or Day.
Oh, it is National Tight End Day.
And if you remember last year on National Tight End Day, like every single tight end scored a touchdoon.
It did work out that way. There was
it
about
was-
6 to 9 different tight ends that scored that day.
Yeah.
It was crazy. So I think I don't know why that is. Like, is that just coincidence, or is that like a thing that the OC or the quarterback know about?
I'm sure the quarterbacks know about it. Like I guarantee it's talked about because tight ends are very proud of it. And I'm sure they're vocal about it. And it's a point of emphasis, but it's not like You know, let me hyper focus on the tight end in the red zone today. You know, it's just I think last year it was
if just one of those things like scheme up a play for the tight end. I don't know. It seems like that would be a stretch, but it worked out last year in a way that you were like, are they targeting tight ends? Like it was just odd. It was very odd how many.
Yeah. Everybody's going to be all over the tight end parlays this week. That's going to be massive this week. So
I like Gadsden. Gadsden.
Yeah.
OG is what I call him.
Orande? Is it Orande?
Orande Gadsden. I don't know.
Junior.
It's OG. The second.
OG Junior.
The second.
OG second. OG.
Yeah,
is
OG.
second. Okay.
So I like OG. Like I knew he was going to break out at some point because if you watched him at Syracuse, he was like an elite receiver. He was not like it was like Trey McBride. Like if you just watched him in college, you knew that there was something different about him pass catching, and like he was on a team that is starving for that guy, for Justin Herbert, and he's converted to tight end, and he's a specimen. You know, like you see him out there and he is a specimen. He looks different. And Herbert, I think, is one of the best passing quarterbacks in the NFL. And his breakout was inevitable at some point because there was that transition and there was a lot of growth that needed to happen in the Chargers offense. I didn't know it was going to happen already, but the breakouts happened, and because of it, I burned every waiver wire I had on him, and I'm starting him immediately. You know,
I think it was very encouraging to see what he did last week, even with Johnston back. You know, the first game 2 weeks ago with Johnston out, and so it doesn't make a difference now. So,
yeah, he's gonna have those games. He just is, and honestly, like Johnston's a huge, like big play threat, but he's not like a possession guy. Like you're not going to be targeting him on 3rd and 6 just because you know he's had issues with his hands. But I just don't think he's that receiver. You can scheme him open some, and he can run good routes, and he is a physical talent. But Gadsden's like a sure-handed weapon that he's been like looking for. Ladd obviously isn't 6'7" and that type of a physical presence. He is a route runner, but you know he's going to be that weapon that Chargers offense is needed to take the next step. And you know he's for the rest of the season he's a must start tight end for me.
Yeah, I had a massive win in the Football Guys Bowl. Team. The tight end is like my glaring weakness, and Gadsden was on the waiver wire, so I had to decide. No, this was this week. Yeah, so I spent. It's $1,000 budget. I put $421 on. 9 people bid on him, and the second highest bid was $420, and I got $421, and I got him. Yeah, dude, it was. I woke up and I was like, oh,
that is an incredible feeling. Holy shit.
It was awesome. It was great. So I'm plugging him in this week, and I couldn't be more happy.
Yeah,
first place too in that league, right? Just
Good on you.
Yeah, Shane, who do you got for green light tight end?
I've got 2 guys, and most all my leagues I've been streaming tight ends each week, and so I've got 2 contingency guys. So the first guy, if we see no Nico Collins, I've got pick up and start Dalton Schultz.
Oh yeah.
You know, he had 10 targets on Monday night. I think he went for 9 for 99. So if there's no Nico Collins, that's going to be a really good floor with a potential higher ceiling. If for some reason, if Nico Collins is playing, and then I might pivot to, if we see that Cole Kmet is out with his back injury, then I would pivot and pick up Loveland. He had a season high. He had, I think, 67 snaps last week. He saw a season high in snaps, routes. He's an athletic guy that has got to start getting the ball. And if Kmet is out, I think this could be a breakout week like we saw with Gadsden 2 weeks ago.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that breakout game for Loveland. I love it.
I don't know that Truck can confidently say that he thinks it's going to happen. I think as a Bears fan, you're like desperately wishing it does, but you're starting to be like, what the fuck, Ben Johnson?
Yeah.
But I still trust Ben Johnson. You know, it's like Bo Nix last year. Like I thought he was going to be a bad NFL quarterback, but you just trust Sean Payton, you know, that he likes him and speaks that highly of him. So you got to think it's coming at some point for Loveland. So I like that as well. Kincaid, you guys know I'm a Kincaid for forever truther.
I do. They missed him last week. Like he
it was clear as day. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
If Keon's not going to step up and be an alpha receiver, Palmer goes down. He looked like he was about to break out. And then after you lost Palmer, it was like, what are we doing here? And it looked really bad. I'd like to see James Cook get back in the passing game. For whatever reason, it seems like they've gone away from that, and I just don't understand. But Kincaid's going to have a huge season. I love the matchup Dallas Goedert has. If the Giants continue to put up points on people and the Eagles need a score, Goddard's just one of those guys that like will get hyper targeted some games. And I could see that being a game when they need to move the ball against the Giants. It's tight end, National Tight End Day. So I'm expecting there to be some big production from the position.
Yeah, I love it. Did you guys see last week was National Running Back Day? They coined it.
Well, that was just something that CMC and Bijan created.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that broadcast was trying to coin that like the week.
Well, they just mentioned that like those guys trained together in the off season, and they talked about how there was not a National Running Back Day, so they were going to make it the day that they played each other.
Yeah. Well,
and it was a Monday, so it was not even like a Sunday slate. You know,
that's fair. I just think in the future now we're going to start seeing National Running Back Week and the National Tight End Week in that order. I think that's what we're going to see next year. We'll see. But anyway, all right. Red light tight ends. Let's finish this up. Wrap it up. Coles, what do you got for red light tight end? Who do you not like this week?
Pittsburgh Steelers tight ends.
Which one?
There's not going to be 4 of them that score this week.
There's 3 of them. And I don't know, like, why are we doing this again, Arthur Smith? I'm not going to pick any of them this week. You know, I just like Jonnu's probably the only one that you would start. If you want to pick up and start Freiermuth this week because of his 110 yard, 2 touchdown game last week. Did he get 2 or was it 1? I don't know. But anyways, like we're talking about there's 6 buys. If you're going to start Freiermuth because of his big game, I would just not trust that 3 tight ends are going to produce every week for the Steelers. So I'll just collectively have them. But yeah, let's put Shane O'Max, boy, Taysom Hill in there. Just because.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, you're all good there?
Yeah.
Okay. My red light this week is Zach Ertz. Look, Marcus Mariota is in line to start Monday with the Jaden Daniels injury, and it's just a bad development for Ertz. He's averaged 6.5 fantasy points per game with Mariota and 11.8 with Daniels. So clearly Daniels likes throwing the ball to Ertz and Mariota not so much. The Chiefs have allowed the 3rd fewest fantasy points per game to tight ends so far this year, and they've yielded only the 5th fewest yards and just 1 touchdown to the position. So I just I'm not trusting Zach Ertz with Marcus Mariota at the helm. Shane, what do you got?
Yeah.
Well, Shane, real quick, I want to bring up another guy who, like, as we've talked, this is not going to make sense because we've talked about like the Patriots should have some success passing the ball, but Hunter Henry is someone that's like position ranked 8th. He had a 29-point game in week 3. He had 8 targets in week 1, but outside of that, like 2 targets in week 4, 4 targets for 2 catches in week 5, 3 targets for 3 catches, 27 yards in week 6. Like, I I am not like we dropped him in a league truck that we picked up Gadsden in, and like I'm not going to ride that train any longer. If they have success in passing the ball, like this is a good week to do it. But like I'm not taking a guy who's going to get me 4 straight.
Shane, can you hear him?
No, he's out. Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
Hunter was my red light tight end, and in fact, in 2 leagues, I dropped him this week, like 7 or less points in 3 straight. It's just there's too much. Drake May's doing too good of a job of spreading the ball out to all the receivers, and then we saw Austin Hooper get a touchdown last week of all things. So yeah, drop him. I start your Dalton Schultz over him. Start your Mason Taylors over him. Anybody I would pick up and start over him this week.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Look, I had a lot of hopes for him early on in the season. I picked him up in a ton of leagues, and I was excited to get him on the roster. But now it's not the case. So yeah, Hunter Henry. That's who he was. That's who he was. Red lighting.
Yeah, dude. Like so excited to get him because he just looked like he was going to be the weapon for Drake May in a MVP type season so far. And then you just keep hanging on. Like, just get me out of here. I'm done with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that about does it for our red light, green light for week 8. Another long episode, but hey, it's Bipocalypse. A lot of stuff needed to be addressed. And we have a surprise appearance from a Packers fan. What would you like to say? From the Chicago Packers.
Number 1, baby. Right here.
All right. Okay, sure. Anyway, we're happy that you joined. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media, check out the Substack, thefantasyroadshow.substack.com. And thank you guys for joining me on this wonderful day to talk fantasy football. Appreciate you.
Tell your boy that we all agree that the Packers are going to fucking lose this week.
I will tell him that. Do you guys agree? Do you guys like the Steelers Sunday Night Football?
Tomlin at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
home
coming off a
dog.
loss, it's a good spot. Like that defensive line is going to get to love. I don't know. Steelers are a deep, like they look really good some weeks and they look really bad other weeks, so they're trying to figure it out.
Green Bay the same way. They played with their food a bunch. Like they played with. I mean, the Dallas game, the Arizona game. I mean,
and I find myself texting Coles every time the Packers play at halftime. Like, dude, the Packers suck. They aren't the team that everybody talked about at the beginning of the year. So I just like you go and get Golden, and then you just like make him. He's a punt returner. Like he's been good when they get him the ball, but Christian Watson's. I don't know. That didn't make sense to me. All right. Anyway, we're signing out. Thank you all for joining. You guys are the best.
This is what happens when I get on. Is we just have 18 side rants and shit goes off the rails.
Shane, sorry if we interrupted your busy day.
Kicker pickup of the week: Eddie Pinheiro.
Eddie P. We can't just slip that in at the end, Shane. It's gonna be a whole segment. Shane O'Mac's kicker of the week, Eddie Pinheiro. You guys heard it here.
Shane,
first.
Tell me if I've been doing good. I've been picking up. I picked up Butker. I know a lot of people have been hating on him, but I think the offense is going to score. I don't know. Loop I picked up this week. He was on a waiver wire because he got dropped on a bye. His Loop against the Bears should score, right?
Yeah, Lamar's back. Yes, it's safe. Yeah. Yes.
Fucking kickers, dude. It's just
I hate it.
I dropped Reichard and then he goes off for 18 last week. It's just
yeah. All right. Anyway, enough of the kicker talk. Hit up Shane O'Mac on Twitter at @SMcCormick_FF if you have any more questions about kickers, because I will not tolerate any more conversation about kickers. You guys are the best. And buckle up.